All of this, somebody who can see the global economy like nobody else. Paul Mitchell, co-founder. He also owns Patron Tequila. He is John Paul DeJoria. John Paul, what do you just make of the events from last Friday till today and the response? Is it robust enough?
Yeah, there's no question that we do have these terrorists. I mean, they're just total nuts. They are killers. And even those that are very, shall we say, open to maybe some of the president's ideas, all due respect to the president, that things are getting better, they're not. He's wrong. My feeling is that in order to overcome this, we have to understand, the world has to understand, these people are killers. God doesn't want you to go out there and blow up people for no reason whatsoever than your idea. Innocent people, and to cut their heads off. So it has to be something that you must remove from someone's agenda that's a political agenda. This is something that our top military advisors, our top intelligence people, a lot of intelligence, along with the Senate and the Congress, should get together and come up with a solution. Again, no disrespect to our president, but he was wrong and we have this thing contained. And if we look at it as we have a large group of murderers out here under, shall we say, the pretense of, well, this is the way to get to heaven, and they're convincing smart young people that this is the way to do it.
They're merciless, and we should have no mercy with them.
There's no doubt. Yeah, there's no, and I'm a peaceful person. I believe peace, love, and happiness, but this case, you've got to look at thousands of murders out there, and they have to be stopped. We cannot let this happen.
And this really goes beyond just the issue of ISIS. We were talking earlier, the reason why ISIS has become such an issue is because we have a contingent of the population in the U.S., Europe, elsewhere, that is open and prone and susceptible to being radicalized. So even if we are successful in defeating ISIS, what's there to say that there's not going to be some other organization? So to your point, is the policy has to be so overarching as to address these individuals that are susceptible, and how do we properly track them? How do we properly intercept that communication? Now, that's going to infringe on our privacy discussion, no doubt, but that's what we have to figure out.
Well, there's something else also I wonder why no one ever talks about. Why isn't it? And maybe it is, but no one talks about it. Every single Islamic organization that are real, true religious people and not killers tell everyone in their congregation, these guys are terrorists, they're nuts, they're killers. This is not Islam. Are you kidding? These are radical Islamic, murderers. Right. Why don't they do that? If they would do that, I'm sure a lot of these young people wouldn't go over, not be influenced.
JP, you're right, you hit the nail on the head, and there's a call. I know Geraldo Rivera has been saying that around. Why isn't there more of a movement? Why isn't there more of an uprising? And I'll give you a very simple example. In the Italian-American community, 20 years ago, when organized crime was running rampant, the Italian-American organizations, the Columbus Citizens Foundation, the Knights of Columbus, all of those, they rallied, and we went into schools and we spoke to young kids and said, you want to be Justice Scalia, you want to be Mario Cuomo, you don't want to be John Gotti. You don't hear that happening right now. Maybe it is happening, but it's not being put out there in the media.
That is so correct, and that's what we need, because we need to stop the new ones coming in, the newbies, and at the same time, those that are really hardcore killers, killing people for no reason whatsoever, have got to be eliminated.
I want to raise an issue about surveillance, because you're seeing a shift back toward at least greater surveillance power in this country, where it's been privacy rights over basically public safety in recent years. KT, and you guys can weigh in on this, but I think as a nation, younger people, we're giving up more of our privacy. We're just handing it off to technology companies for the ease of use, for advancements with technology. So our surveillance laws and capabilities need to keep up with that. So shouldn't there be more give towards surveillance rather than taking away? The two are going in the opposite direction, not kind of merging.
It's an extremely complex discussion, but as the situation right now shows, we need to have proper surveillance on one hand. On the other hand, we need to explain those steps also more sophisticatedly, more properly to a population which is anxious about what's happening right now. And to get back to your point, and I think that's you brought up something about the younger generation that feels attracted by Islamist movements, by their wording, by all the other things. What do we have to offer here? We have to ask ourselves, are we still attractive enough with our set of values, with our definitions of values, with all those things? We have a lot to offer. But do we do it properly? Not at the moment. Not at the moment toward these kinds of people. So this is where we need experiences from your side, from our side, from all the others, speaking up in a way which we usually don't do any longer, which is a pity. And it's unbelievable. You have already in Europe, and when the young people come in there as refugees, the first ones waiting for them are people, and embracing them are, of course, helpers from Germany and others. But then you would already have the Salafists standing there and telling you, we know your story. You have despair as your background. You don't have a future. We offer you a future in Germany, which is different from this, what you would actually connect with Western values. I think there we have to stand up.
Sure, yeah, the American dream is definitely still alive. I know.
Well, you preach it every day.
Exactly.
You live it.
But not enough people talk about it. They talk about disaster. Again, no disrespect to our administration, but how we have to give more to those. Well, they should be saying we have to give more to help those go to work, to help themselves. Because the American dream still works. Someone could get out there and just do really, really great here, for example, in our country and other countries. And they're not talking about that. They sure talked about it when I was in high school, in junior high school, and grammar school, and I believed it. And it was true. We just need to shift that conversation of opportunity, not just doom and disaster. And of course, if there's murders there, they have to be eliminated. It's just not right.
I mean, it's a really good point. If you listen to the Republican candidates, right, or if you listen to the Democratic candidates for that matter, all we hear about is we need to make America great again, because it's apparently not great.
That's Donald Trump's. That's Donald Trump's slogan. The other candidates, not so much.
That's true, but from somebody who have come from outside of America, I think this is the best country in the world, and I'm as thrilled as can be to be here. So yes, I mean, to your point is we need to spread that message. But the other interesting point you brought up is about this is not just a West versus ISIS fight. This is the West and the Muslim community and the Middle East community against ISIS. Basically, it's the world against ISIS. So I don't know, KT, if you have a perspective on this, but are we bringing other people into this fight against terrorism other than U.S., France, maybe now Russia?
It looks like, my gosh, ISIS is already doing that for us. France is at war now. I mean, right. ISIS is creating their own problem. Another thing, too, that one should think about is with all these powers and all the might we have, you got Russia, you got the United States, they could eliminate ISIS in a month. Why this long-term war is beyond me. They could wipe out ISIS within 1 month.
But it is difficult. I would love to have that situation, and it's actually not the case any longer, because we have ISIS, people sympathetic to ISIS or connected to the group already in Yemen, in Northern Africa, everywhere. If you see the belt where you find potential Islamism and radical Islamism, you can all the way to East Asia. You have, and this brings me back to your question, Anastasia, where you said, do we have all in the boat right now? Boat shaking. No, we don't. Should we need others? Yes, for instance, China. China has an interest not to be infiltrated by radical Islamists.
The U.S. can't decide whether to even get in the boat or not. I need to give you the final word, JP.
Sure. The Islamic State is what I'm talking about. Their presence in Syria and in Iraq. That's what I'm talking about wiping out within 30 days. Yes, there are pockets, but you've got to get the head of it first of all and the center organization. Then you work on the pockets.
JP.
America's still great.
I knew you were. Peace, love. You're going to give
peace, love, and happiness all the way.
JP.
We'll get through this.
John Paul DeJoria.